it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again. Today's project is this one, and we're right at the end of our Halloween 13 days of. But this is a little square-based bag, which measures 2 1/4 square at the base, and it's about 5 inches tall. And it uses the Spooky Night Designer Series paper. And the Labels to Love stamp set, and that's basically all it uses, apart from a couple of punches. Although I say that, it uses the Everyday Labels punch for the sentiment, and I will be using that again. This is the cat punch, which if you get the Spooky Cat stamp set, you can buy the punch and the stamp set as a bundle. And this then works with the Spooky Night paper, because that's what this is punched from. But if you want the Everyday Label punch as a bundle, I'm using, as I say, the Labels to Love stamp set, which is the add-on stamp set for the labels. So you would, to get this as a bundle, you would need the I can't remember what it's called, bear with. Merry Little Labels stamp set. And then you add this on and it becomes a 10%. You put the bundle code in and you get 10% off both the punch and the label set. And then this is the add-on, but it's the one with the Halloween stamp on it, which is what I'm using here. So let's get on and make this bag. I'm not going to use the cat punch for the second version. I'm going to hand cut my embellishments, other than the punch bit, other than the label. So I am using a piece of Designer Series paper that measures 9 1/2 across and 8 1/4 down, and it's important that it's an across and a down if you've got a directional paper. With this original it didn't matter because it's not a direction, but for this you do need to know where your top and your bottom is, and we're looking at a 9 1/2 width and an 8 1/4 height. And for a change I'm going to use the trimmer. I'm not great at doing bags with a trimmer, so I'm challenging myself. So, whereas on the scoreboard, the numbering starts at the left and moves to the right, obviously on the trimmer it goes the other way round. So I'm going to start with my longest measurement, which is at 9 inches over here. At this point, it doesn't really matter which way up your paper is, but I like the idea that it's the right way up. So I'm going to score there. It's paper, so you don't want to go mad. You just need maybe 2 gentle scores. Then 6 3/4, which is just before the bend for the arm. So 6 3/4, 4 1/2, 2 1/4. Then I'm going to turn it through 90 degrees with the top to the right, and I'm going to score on our trimmer. I don't know how well you can see this, but here to the right hand side of the cutting plate there's about 1 1/4 inches, so you can actually do some of your measurements this side, which is what I'm going to do, because I need to measure at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. And then I also need 2 1/4. So 2 1/4. And it's important that your 2 1/4 is at the bottom, so you've got the right direction. Now I'm just going to, what are we looking like? Yeah, probably that's the best way. So I'm going to fold this towards me, so I've got the back facing, and I'm then going to flip it over, and just so that we can orientate ourselves, here is the narrow strip. That will be at the back of the bag, so this will be the front, this will be the back, and then this will flip over. So these are the 2 sides, and that's an important thing to remember. So our sides are going to be here and here, and I'm going to line up my score line. I'm going to use this ruler across here. I'm going to line up my score line so that I can then measure I need the halfway point. So these gaps are 2 1/4. So half of 2 1/4 is 1 1/8. And I'm just going to make a mark there. And do remember, all of the measurements will be on the associated blog, which is below, or the associated blog post, I should say. So 1 1/8, that's quite a nice one to look at. And then I also need to measure down 2 1/4. So 2 1/4, and then if I pop that down, I know that if I'm sort of in the middle here, that will be 2 1/4. It doesn't matter if it's a weeny bit off. And I'm going to mark that on each of the score lines. Then I'm going to join the dots, as it were. I'm going to open that flap out. You probably can't see those marks terribly well, but because they are in pencil, in fact, let me grab my chalk marker. So I've got one there, one there. You can see that one down there. You can see that one and one there. So what I've got to do is join the dots. So if I put my flappy thing, there's a technical word for you, and just score, and then if I do the other one that's at the same angle first, just get the 2 marks in the middle of my flappy thing and score, and then change my angle, line up my 2 marks. I'm hoping you can still see. Yes, you can. Line up my 2 marks and score, and line up my 2 marks and score. So I am going to keep this just for a moment because let's just fold all of our score lines. I'm just going to burnish gently. I'm not putting a huge amount of pressure on these, just to get them a little bit crisp. So for those of you who like the weather reports, we had the single most bizarre weather yesterday when I was recording yesterday. We had the tail end of Hurricane Ophelia, plus it swirled up Sahara sand and dust from the Portuguese bushfires. So we ended up with this sort of orange hue, which was kind of weird. I'm just going to reinforce those score lines as well. So yeah, it was really weird. I was filming at about the same time of day yesterday and had to have all my lights on in my studio, which was just madness because it's the middle of the day. It was just complete madness. Right, so let's do a bit of orientation for my sake as well as everyone's. This is the front, so this is the back. So I'm going to want to keep that flap there. The rest of them I don't want anymore. So I'm going to come down just to the first score line and cut. And that's why I've kept my trimmer in, because as I need to get rid of quite so much, I am going to come back in, find where I've cut. So that's where I've cut. So let's fold that out of the way just so that you can see where it is. Line everything up nicely and just get rid of that. You can do it with your scissors, that's absolutely fine, but for the sake of speed, I thought I would use my trimmer as I have it out. So everything else we will do with the scissors. So, was that right? Yes. Oh, it's because I suddenly had a panic. I was thinking I should have a flap, and that's because I tucked the flap away. Right, okay, let's just not do that again, eh? Right, so I don't want this little flappy bit down here, so let's get rid of him. And just mitre in at the top there. And then just cut up these here. So this isn't one of the designer series papers that is in the buy 3 get a 4th free offer that's on at the moment, but there are some amazing, amazing papers that are in that. So do remember that that's going on until the end of October. So I'm just going to pop some fast fuse down here. I'll fold it out. So, whoops, got a string. And remember, the key to fast fuse is to not push too hard. And preferably not stick your hand to it. And then because this is a box, I can just do that and it will line up. So that's all good. And then if I pop those in, I mean, I haven't finished putting it together yet, obviously, but you will see that by popping that all together, those score lines just nicely neaten that up. So that's all good. So this is the front. So sides in, back in, fast fuse here. I'll just pop it on the pop it on the 3 open ends or edges, and then just pop my bone folder in there just to make sure everything's sealed up nicely. That then folds to the front, and then I'm going to grab my 1/8 handheld circle punch and just hold that in place, and then by eye I am going to come in quite a way, just to avoid, there is one layer that's very thick, and punch. So I'm just avoiding that, and that's, yeah, about the same place, and punch. And then with some solid black baker's twine, I'm going to go in from the front to the back. This is where it's not going to play. Isn't it always the way? Let's cut a nice fresh end. From the front to the back. From the back to the front. Let's try a loop. It might behave better. I'm trying to avoid licking the end because, you know, I think that's just not very good to do on camera. There we go. A loop was fine. So, don't need that bit. And then I'm just going to get all thumbs and just tie that into a bow. This is where you need possibly an extra pair of hands, or not a camera going and clicking away at you. Oh, there we go. So I must continue to thank you all for continuing to subscribe to my channel. I am delighted to say that I am now over my 2,000 target, which is brilliant. Thank you very much, all of you, for your support. That's not to say more subscribers wouldn't be nice, because they would. Just trim that off. So yes, if you don't subscribe already, just hit the subscribe button. It's down there. And then you can get to see all this craziness again. Piece of pumpkin pie. I have already mounted my Have a Haunting Halloween stamp. And this is on a D block. And then Memento. You could use basic black, but I happen to have my Memento out. And I'm just giving it a, making sure it's well inked. And then this is not meant to be an absolutely crisp stamp. This particular one, and I will show you what I mean in a moment. So, doesn't matter that I've over inked or that I've got ink on my fingers. You will see that it's not totally solid, and if you look at the case, you will see it's not meant to be totally solid. This is meant to be solid, this is not. So this is not badly stamped, it's just meant to look like that. So just pop that into my punch, line it up and punch, and do another one out of, whoops, let's trim that so that it's a better shape. Do one in black And all I'm going to do is layer it so that it's sort of offset. So I just, here's the one I got wrong earlier, I just didn't ink it up properly. But that's fine. Fortunately, there is an emergency side to all cardstock, which is just brilliant to know. So that's that and that. And I have already hand cut some of the pumpkins out of the paper. So all I'm going to do is just sort of layer them up. Let's pop him there and just frame that punch. So I want a bit of, actually I'll use liquid glue, a bit of, you could use glue dots, that would be probably quite a good thing to use at this point. But all I'm going to do is just pop that there, then that one can come down there. So probably best to do bottom and top. And maybe it's a little jaunty angle. And then this one we can pop down at the bottom here. And this I will actually put the glue onto what I'm sticking it on, because I don't really want glue hanging off the bottom at this stage. So that's my piece, and then I'll just pop it. It's big. It's meant to be bigger than the bag. And actually, on the original, I used just fast fuse to attach. But I think on this one, I've got all these lovely edge pieces of dimensionals. So we'll use a couple of those, which are perfect for this sort of thing. And I want them slightly in from the edges because it is going to overlap the bag. So there we go. And as you can see, I've managed to avoid going on the bag, going off the bag rather. So there we go. Those are our two little gift bags, which I think are just great fun. You can get quite a lot in. You can get glue on the outside. You can get quite a lot in there because, you know, you've got a decent bit of height here. This is about 2.5 inches up to here. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, as I say, hit the subscribe button. The measurements will be over on the associated blog post, which is below. All the products are listed below. If you need any of the products, it would be an immense help to me if you were to jump over to my online store. If you buy from me, it does help me bring you these videos. So if you're in the UK, that would be a great help to me. Thank you. I'm still running until the end of the month my draw for the Merry Patterned stamp set, which is the free set that you can get if your order is £250 or more. But I have some that I've already collected that I'm going to give away to anyone who spends at least £25 in my online store. And for every £25 you spend between, it was from the beginning of September to the end of October, you'll get an entry into my draw. So, and I've got, I want to say 2 or is it 3? I think I've got 3 unused sets. So, yay! I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.